This is take two. Happy Monday, everyone. Okay, so I was in the middle of doing the first take for this, but then a couple messages kept coming up on my phone that I couldn't ignore. So, again, uh, take two. And it's funny because well, I guess I could always just say it again. It doesn't really change anything. I said in my first take that it's a rather wow. No one wants me to get my video. Did the sirens out there? Oh, okay. So I was gonna say it's a rather unique turn of events because this afternoon we have a new Hot Ones episode. It was actually revealed yesterday, so I can't really do a proper reaction like I would like. But that's okay because you know what? I know who this guest is, and quite frankly, I can't wait to discuss that. But before that, let's get to my low and high act of kindness. Now, it was my low when when I kept getting those messages. I had to stop the video for the first take. My low was it was basically the fact that I keep getting interrupted by sirens. No, my low is I'm sure there are a lot of people out there in which today is your first day back to school or whatever it is you do since spring break is now over. And believe me, I was in your shoes once upon a time. You know, going back to school or doing whatever it is you have to do after spring break sucks. It totally sucks, man. Like, believe I feel your pain. I really do. But you know what? Think of it this way. You're in April right now. Surely the school year is almost over. You know, just get through however many weeks you have left and you're good to go. Funny story though, to this day I remember after spring break, my sixth grade year, I think it was like 12 weeks to go before school went out. And I remember counting down the days like it wasn't full. Like you would, I remember counting down the school days. It was great. Actually, I counted down the weeks, not the days, the weeks. Because, you know, getting through, because like, when you think about it this way, when you're counting down the number of days and you see it's a big number, it just seems so daunting. Meanwhile, you know, when you get to a number of weeks, it's a significantly smaller number. In fact, it's 7 times smaller than what the number is. So that's even better. But for real, if today's your first day back to school, believe me, my heart's going out to you guys. But you're almost there. Summer vacation isn't that far away. And I'm sure for a bunch of students out there who are seniors, graduation is quite literally within your reach. You know, just push through it, guys. You got it. What's my high? I pretty much got to hang out with my family all day. It was awesome. Watched the Masters. Shout out to McIlroy for winning back-to-back Masters. That's awesome. That's so cool. You know, this is funny. You know how for players at these events, they'll do like the country of origin for where like these people are, and next to McIlroy it said NIR. Like, what does NIR stand for? And then it shows this one country club that he belongs to with everyone watching him back in Northern Ireland. Oh, it stands for Northern Ireland. Okay, that's what it means. I didn't know that's what it meant. That's my act of kindness. But yeah, I got to spend the day with my family yesterday. It was a lot of fun. And my act of kindness was I helped my mom and dad watch my nephews and help my mom make dinner. So, we have a new Hot Ones guest. The 13th. Lucky 13, baby. Hot Ones guest of 2026. Which, you know what? It's really interesting because it's my brother's birthday today, too. It's my brother's birthday. It's also the birthdays of one of my all-time favorite voice actors, Colleen Clinkenbeard. Happy birthday, Miss Clinkenbeard. You're awesome. Not that you need someone like me to tell you that, but you are. But yes, we have a new Hot Ones guest today. The episode will be coming out today, and I'll be going over the episode tomorrow. So convenient. But it's Rachel Brosnahan. Yes, Lois Lane from the most recent Superman movie, but before she was Lois Lane, she was also known as the marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which I didn't really know about Mrs. Maisel until, because, I mean, come on. Needless to say, Rachel Brosnahan is gorgeous. And, you know, she didn't just get to be Lois Lane, you know, because, you know, out of, like, the skin of her teeth. Like, that, I mean, Rachel Brosnahan is talented. We all know this. Heck, if you actually watch anything of Mrs. Maisel, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. But it actually wasn't until after I saw Superman that I actually started watching The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. Well, clips of it. I don't have Amazon Prime, so I don't have access to the show. But, you know, I've seen enough clips where I have a genuine idea of how it works. It's basically a single mom who just recently got divorced, who makes a living being a stand-up comedian, among other things. And yeah, you know, it definitely takes place in a time long past. Like, I want to say this takes place in like the early to mid. When does Mrs. Maisel take place? Hold on. I want to make sure I don't get this one wrong. Because, like, the clothes say, like, late 40s, early 50s. I know it takes place in New York City. I know that. Okay, late 50s, early 60s. And begins in 1958. Okay. Right. And, yeah. I mean, there are some things about that show I really do like. I mean, again, right? I mean, the cast is phenomenal, and they're definitely making the most of what they're doing. But one of my biggest pet peeves ever, whether it's fiction or real life, and and this is coming from a guy who really has never been in a relationship, so take this for what it is. But one of my biggest pet peeves ever is if a man cheats on his wife, or a wife cheats on her husband, and, like, I'm sorry, but you really don't know how good you got it when that happens. You know, I've never had that. And, you know, I will admit there are times I believe I'm so much of a loser that I'm never going to get that. I can tell you right now, I wouldn't do that. I'd never cheat on my spouse. I'd stick with her for better or for worse. That's what I would do. Because I'd be a good husband. You know, I'd be faithful. I would treat her right. You know, obviously, we live in 2026, so, you know, being faithful and treating, a man treating his wife right, that, I mean, it's still a good thing. It's what every man should aspire to do. But, a woman, being a good wife to her husband, like, that's something everyone should aspire to do if they're ever lucky enough to be in that relationship. But I'm sorry. If if you leave and or cheat on, if you cheat and or leave on your spouse, you're a piece of garbage. And you absolutely deserve whatever bad things happen to you. I don't care. I mean, granted, there are times when stuff like that is absolutely necessary. Like, perhaps one of the two is abusive or mentally unstable, or, one of them tragically passes, that happens. And that's definitely rough, but, sometimes that stuff happens and it can very well be out of your control. And that's totally understandable. But if you know for a fact you're in like a stable, steady relationship, you're going to be raising kids, and you know for a fact you went through all the trouble of getting to know that special someone to the point where you actively wanted to marry this person and want to spend the rest of your lives with them, and then you cheat on them, I'm sorry, but you are a piece of garbage. I may have never known what that is, but I can tell you what, I certainly wouldn't do that. And I say this because for that reason alone, I really do feel for Mrs. Maisel. I do. I totally do. Like, all the struggles she goes through, which makes it all the more worth it when she, in the end, succeeds in, having a stand-up career. And it's wonderful. I mean, I said this earlier, Rachel Brosnahan, unbelievable talent. Like, there's a reason why she was cast as Lois Lane for Superman, which was actually my introduction to Rachel Brosnahan, was watching Superman. And, I mean, Lois Lane in most Superman adaptations is always like the biggest form of contention for a lot of people. Because you have to remember, Superman has existed since like the 1930s and 40s. And back then, it was a much different time, Women were only, seen and not heard. They were seen as the damsel in distress, always needing help all the time. And unfortunately, back in those times, usually depicted as not being able to handle themselves in times of crises. I mean, granted, as the decades have gone by, that notion has passed. Unfortunately, Superman always felt like it was late to the party. I mean, even when you got the 90s cartoon, Superman the Animated Series, which is easily one of the better adaptations of Lois Lane by far. I think it was Kathleen Delaney who voiced her. I think it was. I mean, Doug Walker once said that adaptation of Lois Lane may have actually made her worse. I didn't quite see that. Not to me, anyway. Like, you definitely want to make Lois Lane capable of being able to handle herself and maybe able to throw a punch at whoever the bad guy is. But because the plot would demand that Superman has to be the one to save the day. Like, there's a way to go about doing that in a smart way. And Superman 2025 definitely did a great job with that. Shout out to James Gunn, David Cornsweet, and Rachel Brosnahan for making that all work. Yeah, I mean, Superman 20. I mean, if you want to know more, just watch my movies on Superman. I did that last year, and I mean, still holds up, of course. Although one of my favorite moments in that movie, should I say this? I don't know if I should say this. It's where Lois Lane is with Mr. Terrific and they're flying in the little the ship that they're flying in or whatever, and Lois Lane is talking about how they got in a big fight. He said I love you, and she didn't quite respond back, and Mr. Terrific is like looking at her and listening to this like, ugh, white people. That's the look that, listen, I'm sorry, but as someone who grew up in the 90s and early 2000s, I know that look that black people have when they hear white people just complain about shit. And like, that is the look that he had. Like, watch that scene again. Watch that scene again. And you tell me he's not thinking, ugh, white people. That's literally what it is. I am not kidding. Like, I know that look. Because I've seen black people give me that exact same look when I complain about stuff. I'm not perfect. I've gotten better, but I'm not perfect. But for real, I'm excited. I can't wait to see Rachel Brosnahan later today. Her episode is going to be awesome. I know it is. And I'd be lying. You know what? I'll say this. I would be lying if I didn't say that, yeah, man, if only she wasn't married. Seriously, have you seen Rachel Brosnahan? She is gorgeous. I mean, don't get me wrong. I said earlier, she didn't just get the part for Lois Lane for nothing. This woman is remarkably talented. You know what? She's as marvelous as Mrs. Maisel herself. And again, she is Mrs. Maisel, so it's all full circle. I'm excited. I can't wait to watch this episode. It's going to be great. And hey, you know what? Maybe it'll open the door for other Superman cast members, like David Cornsweet as Superman himself, Nathan Fillion, who was Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, Nicholas Hoult, who was Lex Luthor. I mean, the list goes on. Like, they could all totally be Hot Ones guests. I can't wait to see where this goes. And I know that Sean's going to ask questions about Mrs. Maisel and practicing stand-up and stuff like that. I'm sure he's going to ask Superman-related questions. Maybe some of her background as an actress. Yeah, man, I'm excited. I can't wait to see this episode this afternoon. Hope you like this video. Like, subscribe to YouTube channel, follow on social media. As always, I'm your home news video. For all of you guys watching, enjoy your video. Hopefully you have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful Monday. And remember, if you guys want to talk, change, you're here to lend me always back. Take care and make good choices. 607 all day, baby.